Hearing all the buzz. For the best Italian food in Western New York, Elliot Apollo's, call 716-825-3675. The Lardon Construction Group.
Fubo TV, the official streaming service of Do Champions. FanDuel, the official sports book of Do Champions.
For all your summertime needs, beauty pools, as well as kayak pools.
CX Chronicles, your total customer solutions focused manager. W.GG, the official energy drink of Do Champions.
Hey, Sons of Erie, our artwork looks better on your walls. Hamburg Brewing, please visit our tap room on Boston State Road, Hamburg, New York. And finally,
Fat Boy Surf Club for all your surfing needs.
Hey, welcome to another edition of Knocked On Bills, a concerted co-effort between Do Champions Media as well as Trainwreck Sports. I'd like to welcome my co-host tonight. We got Mr. Matt Diegert. You can find him on Twitter at mydiegert.com//. Thank you for letting me borrow your HBO subscription.
Of course.
Is Mr. Mike Bundt, proud from Pay the Bills, a hard-hitting podcast that you can find on the Trainwreck Sports Network. And tonight from the Home Box Office Network, we got to see the third installment of Hard Knocks 2025 training camp with the Buffalo Bills. And by some accounts, just into some of our pre-show chatter here, we think it was probably the best of the three that have aired so far. So my first one, I'll throw it to Mike Bundt. Hey, man, good to see you. Good to be seen. What did you think about the third episode, the third in I believe, 5-part installment?
Yeah, I thought this was easily the best episode of the three so far. A lot of nice behind-the-scenes coverage and not really focus on, like, unnecessary storylines just to get to know the players. I liked hearing McDermott's talk to the team to open the show. I liked seeing Joe Brady, Bobby Babbage talking. The Ed Oliver horse segment was kind of fun with Ty Johnson. Seeing James Cook behind the scenes, that was something I was waiting for. And just all the stuff through practice, through the game, it gave us a better feel of how things really are around the team. And I even enjoyed the little segment where they were all in Chicago and playing the one game in the front with the I forget the different things they were saying. The whole episode I thought was a lot more of what I expected with Hard Knocks and a lot more appealing and interesting to me.
Hey, Maddie, could you take away from this third episode? Did you think it was the best of the three so far, or what could you take away? And what feelings were left for the real life Buffalo Bills that we're about to see kick off this 2025 season against the Baltimore Ravens?
I mean, I have some feelings about that shirt that Sean McDermott was wearing. I mean, I want to know who he lost a bet to have to wear that shirt. But,
which one specifically?
The one when they were with the improv specialist, that neon black shirt that he was wearing. But
it definitely looked like something he'd wear to like the coaches meeting down in Tampa. It didn't necessarily fit the Windy City. But continue, Matt.
Yeah, no, I mean, other than that, I mean, it was definitely. I don't want to say disheartening to watch the end of that with the Bears game, but I mean, you have to relive that stuff. It's preseason. Score doesn't matter, but what really matters is the people, the players on the field themselves, and if they're in right positions, if they're making tackles, if they're making plays. But I mean, all in all, it was definitely the best episode so far.
Yeah, and what I did take away a little bit from that on my end was you didn't see a lot of the starters in there, and you did see two different points of which I'd like to bring up. Deion Dawkins just kind of champing at the bit, being like, ooh, I wish we were playing. I wish we were playing. I got it, but still taking an active role on the sidelines and reminding people there are jobs on the line. There's a standard of intensity and a standard of performance that has to exist at all times, not just sometimes when the ones are in. The other part would be, I believe, Mr. Brady talking about don't let these guys off the hook. Don't let these guys off the hook that, it's preseason, because that is a lazy kind of misnomer that they're trying to dispel that these games don't matter. No, we did not see a ton of players on there, but in the NFL, it's not always a healthy game. Matt, we always talk about when's the healthiest you're ever going to feel.
About 3 weeks ago when you first get taped at training camp.
Yeah, exactly. So injuries are going to happen. And it's about good things happening at the right time, staying lucky and trying to staying healthy. Now, question to you boys. I'll start with Mike. Is it too early to start calling out who could be voted on captains? Because those are some of the things that we're going to start voting on. And did you get any semblance of who's taking a bigger leadership role that we possibly have not seen on the past, just from this this personal look that we're now first time getting from the HBO producers?
I don't think it's too early. I think it would be mostly guessing at this point. You think 2 years ago they had a million team captains, almost everybody on the team. It felt like,
Yeah, Rex Ryan had a new one every week, despite depending on who we were playing.
and then last year they just had two voices. They had Josh Allen and Terrell Bernard. If I had to guess, with those two guys being back, they're probably going to do something similar with those two. Maybe they might add another guy on each side of the ball, but I really think the two-man approach probably works with this team. With fewer, this team doesn't really have that sense where there's a lot of guys that feel like they need to be the voice. So I almost feel like how they had it last year is the appropriate way for them to move forward.
Matt, how do you take that question if you had to predict any of these captains?
I 100% agree. I think it's going to be back to the leadership council with Josh Allen and Terrell Bernard being offense and defense, and maybe they add a special teams guy just to kind of keep that side of things to make sure that they're heard in the locker room as well. But I really like what they did last year. I think it worked for them. They ended the year in the AFC Championship game, so hopefully maybe it pushes them over this year. Who knows?
Absolutely. And then you did see in this episode, we continue to profile Buffalo Joe as kind of those understated, under the radar UDFA free agent rookie types. Mr. Mike Bundt, under the radar rookie or free agent that you kind of see is making the biggest impression on camp so far. Could be independent of the cameras, or it could be maybe a little snippet of what you've seen personally with your own two optics.
Yeah, that's a tough one. If you're going to talk under the radar rookie, Jordan Hancock is probably the first person that comes to mind for me, just because he was a late round pick and he's one of kind of a few players that have stepped up and really taken advantage of his opportunity so far. If you're going to say free agent, it's tough because a lot of those guys come in with a certain level of expectation. I do think a lot of Bills fans, despite his contract, are overlooking Josh Palmer. I don't know if you can call him under the radar, but based on the way Bills fans are talking about him, he's going to have a lot better season than the amount of discussion that's surrounding him at this point.
And Matt, I'm not going to throw you the same softball as Matt. I think Mike, he did nail it there. Speaking of contracts and wide receivers, Curtis Samuel, a guy that's been plagued with injuries, a guy who really didn't come into his own until the playoffs last year. We're still seeing a void amount of participation where we can make critical roster judgments as to his place in that rotation. We know we're going to have a lot of wide receivers. We know we're going to slang the ball enough. Where do you sit right now on the role of Curtis Samuel currently? Because it's going to be hard to derive his place when your place is not practicing with the team with all these injuries and kind of, may I say, a repeat of his inavailability last year. Because Matt, the best ability is
availability. Yeah, no, we got it. We got through that, but no, I man, it's tough because I mean, Curtis Samuel 2 years ago, that's why they brought him in, right? Is to be that, high end gadget guy, low end, what you saw in the playoffs against the Broncos and against the Chiefs, and a little bit in the Chiefs game in the regular season last year. But I mean, it's going to be tough to move somebody like that that's often injured and has a $9 million cap hit. Obviously, the Bills take most of that, but I honestly, I think that they have to keep six this year. I think Tyrell Shavers is doing a hell of a job to make a case for himself to be either 5 or 6 on the roster, and also being, in there as a gunner on special teams and everything else. I think that he, and it's unfortunate with the news coming out for tomorrow with Gabe Davis coming in, but I don't see a spot on the roster for Gabe Davis. I really don't, and I haven't.
Mike, I'm going to throw it right to you, specifically at that last one, because I see your pursed lips. with that take. Mike, what are you feeling over there after you're hearing that take from Mr. Matt Diegert?
I'll start out with the Curtis Samuel stuff and tie it into Elijah Moore as well. McDermott basically alluded to in a press conference today, we have 3 receivers that we feel confident in, and then everything beyond that is an unknown. And you guys have been at practice. I went to 7 training camp practices. I obviously watched the preseason games. Shakir, Coleman, Palmer, that's the 1, 2, 3. Those are the guys that they're going to get theirs. I would say 4, 5, 6. Like, I would put Shavers in the he should make the team category right now. But Elijah Moore and Curtis Samuel are complete toss-ups. And if Curtis Samuel was healthy, I think Elijah Moore would probably be on the outs now at this point in time. He hasn't done anything during camp. He has looked poor in the preseason games. He has more drops than catches in the preseason. And really, the one thing he brings is quickness. But even with his quickness, he averaged 8.8 yards per catch last year, which would be near the bottom of qualified receivers in yards per catch. And his numbers, advanced numbers with the ball, are abysmal last year as well. So I think Elijah Moore was a lot of hype, but not a lot to really back it up to this point. Who knows? Maybe when he's playing with Josh Allen, that can change. But then you have Curtis Samuel at the same point, who can't see the field and is always injured. And you can't rely on him either. But if you cut him, or you have some dead cap
that is a spicy dead cap issue.
So it's tough because honestly, you look at the point. I don't think you can rely on either of the two of them to really do anything. So I think you have to keep 6 receivers at this point. I could even see a scenario where maybe if something happens to one of the two, they could go IR, the other one you keep, and you find a way to maneuver. Everybody's talking about Gabe Davis and not having the roster room for it. To be honest, I don't think the Bills are looking to roster Gabe Davis. I think Gabe Davis is a veteran practice squad addition. We're 19 days before the start of the regular season. How many times have the Bills added vets that go to the practice squad? You saw it with Kareem Jackson last year. We saw John Brown and Cole Beasley be veteran practice squad.
I mean, you can even make the case that the late season Micah Hyde was predicated on a veteran.
The Bills had a linebacker from the Texans a few years ago who ended up leaving after like a month. And then who else? Josh Norman was a midseason practice.
Shout out Coach Carolina.
And guess what? All the practice squad guys ended up seeing games. So here's the thing we got to think about Gabe Davis right now. He's already been paid $11.5 million, I believe, from Jacksonville for this season alone. So he's going to sign a 1-year minimum deal wherever he goes. With the season starting in 19 days, if he would have gotten the role he wanted by now, he would have signed somewhere.
That's another great point, man.
Pittsburgh has already circled back on him, but he hasn't signed with them. So Pittsburgh's not offering him a guaranteed role. He hasn't signed with any of these other teams. At this point in time, you're coming off an injury. Maybe you're just starting to get fully healthy, but you haven't been ramped up for a season yet. His best approach might just be signing to be a depth wide receiver 5, wide receiver 6, be a practice squad guy. And then if, say, Curtis Samuel or Cyril Shavers are injured, gets called up for his 2 or 3 games. And if it's something long-term, then you're promoted for the rest of the year, get your 10 to 20 catches. And then next year, try to find a role somewhere else when you're fully healthy. Because let's be real, if he goes somewhere and he's wide receiver 4 or 5, and he doesn't do anything, that's only going to hurt his value more going into next year. While in Buffalo, at least you can say, I got familiarity with this team.
Yes.
I know the quarterback. I know the offensive coordinator. I know what they're going to try to do. And if we're going to be real about Gabe Davis, what did this Bills offense lack last year? Their passing game, despite the offense being very productive, their passing game took a step backwards. And it wasn't just because Diggs was gone. They lacked an intermediate threat. That's what Josh Palmer's coming in for. But everybody's always like, oh, Gabe Davis, low percentage catch rate, and he struggles with catches. Gabe Davis is a good blocker. He goes in low parts of the field that are lower probability throws, which is why he has a lower catch rate. And in his 4 years in Buffalo as a 4th-round pick, averaged 41 catches, 682 yards, and 7 touchdowns a year while balling out in the playoffs every year. People act like the guy's a bum. If he's your wide receiver 4 or 5 on a minimum deal, perfectly fine with it.
Yeah, and it's great. It's great because this is not that it's a safety. NFL stands for not for long. This is a This is a familiar, almost safe holding pattern to put him in to get as healthy as possible for the upwards trajectory of the playoffs, of which we've always seen him perform. I could not agree with you, honestly, more, Mike, with that, especially dispelling the adage that this guy's a bum. That's just not true. He's suffered some injuries, as everybody says, but he is interworking with, if he does come here with the offensive system he's very familiar with, that there maybe isn't an added pressure for him to get in there and come out when he's not, at least 90%, because there is a sense of trust between ownership and the powers that be. That being said, the trust, you're starting to see, I believe, Joe Brady come in as just a man, a guy who's owning an offensive coaching room, as well as the tempo of play in tandem with Josh and the vibes of the locker room. What did you guys learn, Matt? I'll go to you first, about how grown man Joe Brady kind of seems this year, as well as Bobby Babich, is two of kind of the younger coordinator minds in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, Bobby Babich makes me want to, as I'm sitting on the couch, we'll run through a wall already. But I mean, just his energy and the hype that he has, and even when he's yelling at guys, that energy is just there. That it's not out of like, you're an idiot. It's, hey, I'm yelling at you to get better. Like, let's do this. Let's take it above and beyond. And I think Joe Brady is a little bit more. Seems a little bit more almost methodical this year in how he wants to do things. That could be the wrong word for it. But it just seems like he's more like on a path this year than he was previously.
Hey, Mr. Mike Bundt, how important is that James Cook contract extension for long-term offensive identity for this Bills? He's on the field. He's making plays. He seems happiest. He seems healthiest. What'd you take away from behind the scenes to actually get a little bit of jubilation out of a guy who just wanted to be on that field to play some ball?
Yeah, it's massive. James Cook is a huge part of their offense. He's their second most talented offensive skill player besides Josh Allen. So he's now basically guaranteed the entire prime of his career is going to be in Buffalo. He doesn't have much when you think about his career in college, he didn't have much wear because he never had a ton of carries. So I think this is someone that's going to be pretty solid going into his late 20s. And he fits the Bills' offensive run style perfectly, is an above average receiver, even if he did have a case of the drops in recent years. And I think now you basically guarantee, like, you look at the Bills' offense, like, you got Josh Allen under contract forever, but now you got your running back under contract for 4 years. You have Khalil Shakir under contract for 4 more years. You have Keon Coleman under contract for 3 years. You have Josh Palmer under contract for, I think, 3 years. Dalton Kincaid still 2 more years. And then the first round option. So you're picking up on a trend right now. The Bills have basically locked in their offense going forward. And when you know what you have on
after an offseason locking in some core defensive players.
Yeah, and they got a lot of defensive players locked in. So, like, for Bills fans, they're like, oh, like we got to make improvements to the team. Like, this is the team we're seeing for, like, the next 3 years. Like, you might see tiny changes over that. Like, you might change a safety, or you might change a linebacker, like, rotation pieces. But, like, for the most part, like, the big positions, like, this is what it is, and the Bills think this is the core that's going to get them to a Super Bowl. So James Cook, that's a huge one, because now you kind of know what your offense is going to be, and you don't really need to make many changes going forward.
Yeah, Matt, it was a big episode for Do Champions tonight, because you got all of our guys on the screen getting some playtime. I think one of the cornerstones of my friendliest relationship is with that Travis Clayton, and with my part in living in London, and him explaining just dinner clubs, biscuits, gravy, some stew deals. I thought that was funny, and in keeping with the relationship I know they all have there, Vandy just chirping, and then Alec Anderson off camera chirping. What I thought was great was seeing Alec come back. He's practicing already. I know banged up Bills thought that was going to be a long shot. He did text me and say, he would be practicing, but I did love that little scrap. And you do hear out of the offensive headset from Cromer and from Joe Brady, Alec, get the heck out of there. Yeah. It was very much like you get to see some of the great parts of what making covering this team fun, getting some of those, non focal point guys getting some screen time there. But you also caught the vibe of the Buffalo Bills, the vibe of, hey, we just came from camp. We want to see each other. We want to make pizzas. Cromer shows up. You have the offensive juggernauts there, and you still have, Dwayne Carter at the pizza party. Where did you guys come from a place of smiles or a place of the same old Bills in a good way? That vibes are what I see as all-time highs. I'll let you take that one.
I think that is still amazing that they get together. Hearing Connor McGovern's wife say that literally Josh Allen texting Connor like 2 days after they got back from camp to watch a movie. It's just great. Just to see how close knit this team is great. It's gonna help them only in the long run. The pizza looked amazing. That bring me in. So, but
yeah, it's like when I was over at Bundt's house the other day, and I saw his wife, and now he has to respond to his wife like, "Oh, student asked me to do a podcast." It's like, didn't you just see him a couple days ago?
But the one thing I will say is Travis Clayton's accent seemed a little bit toned up than when we talked to him.
Yeah, there is a lot of Cockney there.
It was a little bit performative on the accent, I think. Maybe the camera's in his face a little bit.
He's a guy from Chelsea who did play in their junior development. Like Bundt, did you know that he was actually in Chelsea's football program as a developmental soccer player in their what they would call as academy football?
I had no clue.
Yeah,
did not know that.
It's kind of weird, but if I had to go to both of you guys, didn't it just give you the vibe that you want to hang out with a team like that, especially when a lot of those people in that room are grinding and fighting for position groups. To pivot off that, co-practices. That is something that we set up, I believe, for the first time last year with the Pittsburgh Steelers co-practices, because you're getting to the point where guys are sick and tired of banging and clanging their old teammates week in, week out. Where does practice go from here, in your opinion, Mike? Is it more let's find some opportunities to get some of these bubble guys to put more things on tape? Is it more kind of chiseling away at our offensive identity with the people that we know we're going to be here? What are the next steps for the Buffalo Bills in terms of how we're going to be running these practices and making player evaluations for cutdown day?
Yeah, I think it's just all hands on deck, just getting ready for Baltimore. Week one, still trying to implement everything you need and focus on just getting better on a daily basis. You could say roster bubble, and I know coaches are going to care about those guys. I just don't see a lot of like positional battles and roster bubble decisions right now. Like, we can all point to safety. That's an obvious one. Who's going to play with Taylor Rapp? My biggest concern isn't even really who's going to play alongside Taylor Rapp, but it's like, when can we get some rapport with Taylor
continuity?
And that's not going to really happen much in practice. You're going to need game reps. So that's going to be shaky going into the regular season, regardless if it's Cole Bishop or DeMar. You look at other positions like linebackers, pretty much decided outside of some depth. The defensive line, you kind of know how that's going to go. Corners, pretty much how you know it's going to go. So it's like offensive line is set. Wide receiver room, you're just kind of figuring out depth. Tight end room is pretty much set. Like, this is a pretty set team. So I just would continue to kind of like work out the kinks, figure things out, go full steam ahead. But as far as like bubble guys, hopefully we see a thing or two against Tampa on Saturday night. But I don't know if that's going to ultimately be the decider when you're talking about backups, spacing backups. I think outside of a couple positions, the Bills probably know what they're going to be doing going forward.
Well, student just disappeared on us. No big deal. But Mike, really, that's a great comment by. Hold on, let's bring him back. There we go.
Hey.
Week 7, when Michael Hoyt and Logan Joby come back.
Hey, he got one. He got one in the preseason game.
Yeah, he did. He did. What I kind of worry about is you're going to have a lot of production from rookies there. We saw in the game itself, Dwayne Carter looked okay, but Deion Walker flashed, and so did TJ Sanders. So, I mean, what do you kind of take from that? We didn't see it too much in the episode, but what do you take from the defensive line depth and where it goes?
I think it's a great problem to have for a team like the Bills going into the season, especially with the way their schedule is lined up. This is perfect. And
Whoa.
for any fan that
it.
thinks this is a bad thing, they're in crazy town right now. Because think about it. Who's going to be important down the stretch? Guys like Michael Hoyt. So now you ensure he's going to be healthy heading into mid-October, not banged up. So you kind of, once he returns, that's like an added bonus. And you're going to have to rely on these rookies eventually down the line at some point anyway. So why not throw them into the fire the first 6 weeks of the season, see what they have and see who's ready. And if there's things they have to work on, they can figure it out through live game reps, and you still have starters ahead of them. It's not like they're going to see the full fire. You still have Rousseau and Bosa. You have Daquan and Ed. So Landon Jackson can be part of the rotation. He's not going to feel like he's the third defensive end who never sees the field. You're going to have TJ Sanders get some snaps. You're going to have Deion Walker get in there at times. I think this is great because you're going to get an early reveal of what they can bring to the table. And then when guys like Hoyt and Ogunjobi return, if he makes the team, you can then kind of reevaluate from that point forward. But I think it's a good problem to have at this point, especially when you look at the schedule. Outside of Baltimore, they honestly, they could start 6-0 or 5-1, depending on what happens in that Ravens opener.
Now I'll throw this to both of you guys and trying to make it tweet length with your analysis here, because I don't want to spend too much time on something that's been covered so meteorically on the television. Buffalo Joe, a lot of ins, a lot of outs, a lot of what have yous, a lot of up and down play. If you could subscribe to where you see his fit on the roster, predicated that he does make this 53-man roster. Matt, what is it?
He's the backup middle linebacker, and I think that Dorian Williams is the outside linebacker.
Okay, so you're calling Dorian Williams the Sam, and you're calling Joe Andreessen the backup Mike. To Mike Bundt, what do you say?
Yeah, I backup middle linebacker, special teams contributor, and hopefully not much more than that at the current moment based on what we've seen. He's a good run defender, but a liability in coverage, and we saw Caleb Williams kind of mess with him quite a bit early in that game. That was pretty scary if he is to get significant time.
Wow, we got Mac on Mac betrayal right now here with.
Hey, I there's enough Mac on on the Bills already.
How did you feel about Ingram getting so much time right here? I believe he is a UB. Is he a UB alum?
He's a UB and several others.
Yeah.
Product of the transfer.
Are we calling him a UB alum or?
Well, I mean, we'll call him a UB alum, just like somehow Andreessen's a UB alum, even though he spent 5 years at Bryant.
Hey, don't knock the NEC. Some of us played in the NEC.
No. If anything, it's like I'm one of those guys where like a guy like Andreessen should be considered a Bryant player. He spent 5 years there. He spent 1 year at UB. Like.
I think NEC would have him then.
So, like, I think of Joe Andreessen, I'm like All-American at that FCS level. That's where he made a name for himself.
Sure.
But yeah, I think it's good for Jamarcus Ingram. I think he's a bubble guy right now based on everything stacking up. Dane Jackson being back. We'll see what happens with Jamarcus Ingram. And this is a non-Bill, but I know some people wish he was a Bill. It would have been so interesting to see how Sean Dolak would have been. If he was in Buffalo right now.
Yeah, especially after Caden Prater got released today, and you could have just taken Dolak in the seventh round instead of him.
You want to run the call sheet? That was my next thing. Caden Prater in lieu of Sean Dolak. Man, if this guy keeps popping off there's two guys who are not on this roster who were kind of popping for a while, and I haven't admittedly followed up as well as I should have. Kyer Elam had a very strong start to camp. He picked off Dak 3 times within the first 2 weeks. Admittedly, I'm unprepared to tell you how he's done since. And also Sean Dolak, 2 guys that were within our reach to sign or retain. That's part of the game, boys. That's part of the game. That's why you get those Elijah Moores on the team and the Curtis Samuels, sometimes to reinvigorate careers or get the best of what's still in that gas tank. Who's going to be on the quote-unquote bubble this year that might break some people's hearts, not necessarily your own? Mike, I swing that question to you.
I think based on my Twitter account, you guys probably
we do.
Probably know, but I'll say right now it's one of either Elijah Moore or Curtis Samuel. I think Moore is going to end up making it just because he's essentially the backup to Khalil Shakir, and Shakir right now, his health is uncertain, and even though he's expected to come back, you're probably going to need him as insurance week 1, and he can do some of the things Curtis Samuel does as well, which probably gives him that little bit added value. But I think one of the two of them could be in jeopardy. I guess it's possible the Bills could keep both and count on their experience. But if the Bills are making roster decisions based on what are you doing in camp, I think Elijah Moore would be in trouble. We saw O.J. Howard cut a few years ago when he was a guy a lot of people thought was going to be safe going into camp. And
Carlos Williams even.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think Moore will make it, but I don't know if he deserves to make it.
Okay, well, Matt, I'll swing it to you. We have a couple comments about this right now. Keon Coleman, and once again, try to make it Twitter 250 character length. Keon Coleman, where you at with him? Mike, immediately to you afterwards.
I think that having him stacking days on days on days on days is only going to be better for him as a player. Continue building that chemistry with Josh Allen. I really think that I think he's going to grow into that number 2 role. Not that they have 1s, 2s, 3s, 4, because they go by the everybody eats mentality. But I think he's at the X. I think he's going to do very, very well this year.
To you, Mike.
Yeah, I'm excited for Keon Coleman. I can't believe Hard Knocks hasn't featured him at all. I thought that would have been a home run, slam dunk type.
Especially with the personality, yeah.
Trey White and Keon Coleman should have their own show.
I will say this. I did interview Keon during camp, and I've also walked next to him at a Subway in the last couple months.
To be clear, the sandwich shop, not the tunnel.
Yes, yeah, like the sandwich shop. I get this feeling that he's kind of no nonsense right now, that he didn't really like how he was represented in the media last year. The yellow jacket thing was funny. The cookies from Wegmans, funny, but fans and reporters continue talking about it like into the regular season. And I think that actually really bothered him because he didn't produce at the level he wanted to. And when people are joking about cookies and yellow jackets, when he's focused on trying to become the best receiver he can, I think I'll be real, from my outside opinion, I think he found it insulting, and that people didn't take him seriously as a football player as a result of that. So I'm excited to see what he can do this year. I view him and blanking right now, Josh Palmer, as number 2 receivers. I don't expect either of them to go off and put up like 900 yards or anything like that, but I'm excited about what they both bring. Palmer a little bit more of a separator, Coleman more of a contested catch / get the ball and underneath and let him do stuff with his athleticism. I believe that Coleman is looking at a close to 45 to 50 catch guy who could give you 700 to 800 yards depending on how things fall out this year. The only question is what type of touchdown production can he get you, because he needs to increase that number. He should be a bigger red zone threat than what he was last season. Yeah,
I mean, a lot of people, they take to his identity as being a jump ball guy, especially with his time playing Michigan State basketball. Largely that has gone to Dawson Knox, that has gone to us getting jumbo when it comes to less than 5 yards, when you gotta get those yardage and get into the end zone. I think it is interesting that we should not take away Keon's want for being his identity tethered to on-field play, not yellow jackets, cookies, and witty quips. I thought you nailed that, Mike. What I will ask, what are we going to get from the 4th and 5th episodes? And won't it be cool to get a lens into Cut Down Day and some of that emotion? Because a lot of these careers, unfortunately, will be making their last stop at One Bills Drive. They will not get picked up by other teams. And, there will be heartbreak where some people will feel contentious about, oh, we should have made the roster, and they will get picked up by other teams. That day is always emotional, as well as Reed Ferguson just hanging out in the parking lot for 10 minutes and then coming back on the roster when we have to do a little 53-man gymnastics. Matt, is there anybody that that you think is bubble that will be scooped up quickly? And Mike, that's how we'll end the show. Why don't you walk us through what happens with Reed? I know that's typically a Greg Thompson thing, but I think you have a pretty good handle on what happens typically with Reed Ferguson, a designated cut who kind of quote unquote waits in the parking lot. Matt, to you.
So first and foremost, I don't know. I can't even say who's going to be a bubble guy this year. I mean, every year I say who I think is going to be bubble, and they make the team, and I'm completely wrong. So I'm not good at the 53 stuff. I'll stick with the draft and things like that. But what I will say is I love Jordan Hancock. Loved him at OSU. Out of the U. Shout out Doug Worthington.
UW.
But no, in all seriousness, I thought he was going to be a good cornerback. I had a 4th round grade on him. He ends up going in the 6th round, and he's looking like he could start at safety if Cole Bishop doesn't work out. So we'll definitely see what happens there. I think that, like I said earlier in the show, I think the Bills keep 6 receivers. I think both Moore and Samuel are here. I think that $9 million cap hit in his contract is probably going to be a little bit tough to move. Maybe if he doesn't get healthy enough, he goes on IR and they keep 5. But I, like you, Mike, I think that Moore makes the team inevitably because of being Shakir's backup. And, Shakir just doesn't want to play the Ravens, apparently. No, I'm only kidding. But, other than that, I think that the Bills are pretty much set, and we're going to see like a fight for like 5 positions, maybe.
Understood. Mike, we could be comfortable with the kind of economics of, hey, Reed Ferguson, go wait in the parking lot, and why we've seen that so many of these past couple seasons.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with it. It makes sense. I mean, I don't think Reed Ferguson's actively trying to go to another team the moment there's
got to be trust there when you designate a guy like that.
Yeah, you got to have trust, but it's helpful when it's a long snapper who's been with the organization for a while and
longest tenured Bill.
Yeah, so that makes it a little bit easier. And then you also have 2 players that are going to be suspended for 6 games. That opens up another 2 spots for you. So there really is the ability to have some more be flexible with it. As far as like guys on the bubble, I think the corner room is one to evaluate just because you have so many young players in addition to guys that have been on that roster bubble. So Jamarcus Ingram, Dorian Strong, are they all locks? Who's going to be the unfortunate guy out? The receiver room is interesting just because do the Bills feel like if the Bills don't trust Elijah Moore or Curtis Samuel, do they really need to keep both? Now, from a fan perspective, we can both look at them and say, well, they both add elements the Bills don't have, and that's probably enough for them to stay. But the Bills have to trust that they can actually provide those elements. And if it's at the expense of a Tyrell Shavers, say they want to keep 5, do they move on from one of them to keep a Shavers? Because it is all a numbers crunch. Elsewhere, the offensive line is pretty much who you think it'd be. Defensive line is what you think it'd be. A lot of people thought Forrest could be a guy that could make the team at safety. He has not done enough to really be in that conversation. Joe Andreessen seems like he's safe. A guy like Ulofoshio out of Washington, he's probably on the outside looking in at this point. And then even the Samuel situation, a lot of people thought, well, maybe you can IR him for the beginning of the season. That's not going to probably be happening with him now practicing. And obviously but Maxwell Harrison probably going on IR to open the season. That's going to open up another spot for another player to stay. So the Bills have really they're really not going to have to make that many tough decisions based on what they normally would have to do on a yearly basis.
And what a lot of people need to keep in their mind's eye that as we cut players will become available from other teams in those days leading after. And a lot of them are going to have their pick of the litter as to where they can catch on to and where they can further their efforts in garnering the ever coveted Super Bowl Lombardi trophy. Hey, this has been an effort on behalf of Do Champions, on behalf of Trainwreck Sports. Mike, where can they catch you this week for your show? Pay the Bills, only on the Trainwreck Sports Network.
Yeah, we just actually recorded earlier tonight. You can catch it on YouTube or Twitter. Probably easiest on YouTube on Trainwreck Sports. And we talked a lot about Gabe Davis and the speculation going into his visit with the team on Wednesday, reportedly. And you can find me on Twitter, Mike_Bundt. A lot of Bills, Sabres, college sports talk. I go over it all. So if you want a unique look at Buffalo sports, definitely recommend you checking it out.
And absolutely, Matty, as everybody knows, nothing but illustrious guests. You can catch myself and Matt Diegert, Student Body Right, on the Third Imaginable podcast. We go off on Saturday nights. My apologies. I had a personal commitment last week, and this week I am committed to telling why Matt sucks without me on air. Hey, you're listening to Do Champions Network. Knocked on Bills. Want to thank Mike, want to thank Matt, and always want to thank myself for being available. Talk to you guys later. Peace.
Good to be seen.
For the best Italian food in Western New York, Elliot Apollos, call 716-825-3675. The Lardon Construction Group.
Fubo TV, the official streaming service of Do Champions. FanDuel, the official sports book of Do Champions.
For all your summertime needs, beauty pools, as well as kayak pools.
CX Chronicles, your total customer solutions focused manager. W.GG, the official energy drink of Do Champions.
Hey, Sons of Erie, our artwork looks better on your walls. Hamburg Brewing, please visit our tap room on Boston State Road, Hamburg, New York. And finally,
Fat Boy Surf Club for all your surfing needs.